Well, the Mets lose a tough one in LA, a late night game to the Dodgers. They lose 6-5 in the 10th. Really entertaining game. Listen, if you're just a baseball fan and you're not a Mets fan, you would have liked this game. It was very entertaining, very intense, playoff atmosphere type of game. Two of the best teams in baseball going at each other for 10 innings, and it's both games of this series so far, these late night games in LA, have gone to extras. Obviously, the Mets got the win in the first one. Dodgers come back and win the second one. So, tough game if you're a Met fan. Really entertaining game if you're a baseball fan. Megill obviously goes out there and just blows it in the first inning, gives up 4 runs. Looks like it's going to be a short night for him. Looks like we're going to be turning off the TV and not staying up till 1 o'clock in the morning. And then he settles down and gives you 6 innings, gives you some length that the Mets desperately needed. He dominated the Dodgers for 5 innings after the first. And this is the most frustrating thing with Megill. Whether you love Megill, hate Megill, or indifferent to Megill, it's always that 1 inning. But it's usually the 4th, 5th, 6th when he's tiring out. This time it was the first, and he just has the ability to dominate a lineup, and it's always 1 inning that just completely derails him. And that's very frustrating for a guy who has stuff like he does. I don't know how much longer he's going to be in the rotation. He's clearly the odd man out at this point. Blackburn is back. He's moving to the bullpen. Do they switch that up and put Blackburn in Megill's spot? Maybe move Megill to the bullpen? I don't know. But either way, Montas is on rehab. I know he got lit up in a rehab start. I'm not worried about that. Rehab starts aren't for results. They're for working your pitches and getting back into shape and getting ready to pitch in the major leagues. I don't worry about results in rehab starts. Don't care about that. But he's probably replacing Megill in the rotation. Does Megill then move to the bullpen? Does he get sent down? I'm not sure. I've always said Megill's better off in the bullpen, but listen, you can't give up 4 runs in an inning out of the bullpen either. So I don't know what the deal is with Megill. It's clearly a mental thing, not a physical thing, not a pitch thing, not a stuff thing. But he went out there, and I can't blame him too much for last night because, yes, he gave up 4 runs, but it was all in the first inning, and then he dominated for the next 5. So I can't get too bad on Megill. I can't put the loss on him because he kept them in the game after a terrible first inning. Offensively, you had a big 2-run home run by Soto, a real bomb. Looked like it was going to be kind of a signature Met moment to get them back to 4-3 after being down 4-0 the next inning, or then the third inning. But then he kind of looked like shit the rest of the game. I don't understand. He looks like he's starting to get hot, and then he kind of falters. I'm just looking for a little more consistency out of Soto. But he has been hitting much better lately. He's got a bunch of home runs, extra base hits, all that stuff. Looks like he's coming out of it. I just can't wait for him to get red hot and really carry the team. Looked like maybe last night with that 2-run home run it was going to start that, and then he just didn't perform well the rest of the game. Alonso had 2 hits, couple RBIs. Nimmo had an RBI infield single. So that's how the Mets got their scoring done. Those were their 5 RBIs right there. And then they kind of went to sleep like they normally do. They scored early. They scored their 5 runs early, and then they didn't do much the rest of the game. Missed opportunities. And really not even that many opportunities. They weren't really doing much against Kasparius. They just weren't able to hit him. And once Kershaw got out of the game, it seemed like their scoring was done. So not great on their offense either last night. Even though they did score 5 runs against the Dodgers are a depleted pitching staff. They should have done better, especially when they had Kershaw on the ropes early on. And then you go to the bullpen. Obviously, an overworked bullpen. Not very many guys were available last night. Diaz not available. Stanek not available. The guys that you did have available were Waddell, Garrett, Brazaban, and Buto. Waddell gives you an inning. Probably could have gone 2, but I understand not wanting to overexpose him to a really good team like the Dodgers. But he gave you a really good inning there in the 7th. Garrett obviously comes in and works himself into a tightrope act, but he gets out of it and does not give up a run. He got runners on second and third, nobody out. Really bad passed ball by Francisco Alvarez to move the runners to second and third with nobody out. So, but he was able to get out of it. And I don't think there's a better reliever in baseball now, a non-closer reliever in baseball right now, than Reed Garrett. He's just been unbelievable. Best guy out of their bullpen so far this year. And we're really seeing him at another level. He's throwing 100 miles an hour, and he's throwing the splitter and the cutter, and he just looks really good. I'm loving what I'm seeing out of Garrett. Yes, it was a high wire act, but he got out of it and did his job. Brazoban then comes in for the ninth, gives up the home run to Muncy, and listen, Brazoban is overworked. He needs a rest. He needs a couple days off. He hasn't looked as sharp lately. He doesn't have his stuff that he had earlier in the year, and it's because he's overworked. He's pitched way too many innings, and they need to give him a few days break here to try to get him back to where he was. I'm not going to put giving up a solo home run to Max Muncy as a big mark on Brazoban. He's been great all year. We're just give him a couple days and hope he gets back to where he was. And then Buto comes in the 10th and looks like at some point he's on the verge of getting out of the jam and getting out of the inning. He has one out, and there's a fly ball hit by Freddy Freeman out to left field, and Nimmo misplays it. He's going back on the ball. I think he thought it was hit way harder than it was, and it was going to go out, or he was going to have to jump at the wall. And he got turned around the wrong way, and he ended up misplaying it. It happens. It shouldn't happen in the 10th inning, of a tie game, but I understand that it happens. I'm not going to get too down on Nimmo for that. He's been great out in left field all year. It's just one of those odd plays that seems to happen. The ball seems to die in LA, and I think that on most nights is a home run, or in another stadium is a home run. And I think Nimmo thought that off the bat, and I think he just got turned around and misplayed it. Things happen. Not what you love to see, but it happens. This was an entertaining game. No matter who you're a fan of, what team you're a fan of, if you're a baseball fan, this was an entertaining game, and it's probably a postseason look ahead. You're going to see maybe these two teams play in the NLCS again. In my opinion, these are the two best teams in the National League, so really intense playoff atmosphere type of game, and the Mets have clearly closed the gap on the Dodgers. There's no big difference between the Dodgers and the Mets anymore. And you can see that from these first two games in LA and the series in New York. I understand that the Dodgers have, starting pitching issues with Glasnow out and Sasaki out and Blake Snell out. So 3 big guys in their rotation are missing. But offensively, the Mets are right there with the Dodgers. I don't see much of a difference between the two teams in that way. I think the bullpen, yes, they're missing a couple guys in the bullpen as well. I don't think their bullpen is much better than the Mets. I think the Mets have closed the gap. Do I think they're better than the Dodgers? I don't know, but I would say that they're just about even with the Dodgers at this point. Now, fully healthy Dodgers team, maybe that's a different story, but that's not what we're dealing with right now. You play the teams you play when you play them, and you play them whether they're healthy or not. That's the way sports work. So right now, the Mets are not well behind the Dodgers. They're a pretty evenly matched team. And they've shown it so far in these 2 games. Now, today we have Canning going tonight. Hopefully he can shut down the Dodgers. He goes against Gonsolin. Another guy that the Mets should hit. We'll see what happens in this Game 3 here. Another late night 10 p.m. start. But overall, yeah, it was a disappointing loss. But I didn't go to bed last night thinking, oh, they blew it or I was that upset. Because, you know what, it was a good game. They're playing a really good team. Yes, it's a heartbreaking, tough West Coast loss that we're used to as Met fans, that I expected to happen in the first game as well, but the Mets came through and won the game. I can't be too upset about it. You're not going to sweep the Dodgers at 4 games in LA. Heartbreaking way to lose. Would have loved to take the first 2 games of the series and know you at least have a split. But listen, you're going to lose these kind of games to good teams. This isn't blowing a 7-run lead to the Nationals. It's not. Yes, it's a blown game, it's a missed opportunity, but to be honest, they should have never been in this game to begin with. If Megill completely imploded and gave up 8, 9, 10 runs in a couple of innings, they would have never been in this game. So, yes, it would have been nice to steal this one after a bad opening for your starter, but they didn't get it done. At the end of the day, it's going to happen sometimes. We move on. Flush this one, go on to tonight, then the 4 o'clock start tomorrow to end the series before going to Colorado to face the worst team in baseball, who just won a series, by the way. They took 2 out of 3 from the Marlins. But yeah, that's really all I got. And until next time, let's go Mets.